This is TWiT.
All right, Ron.
All right, well,
I'm kind of amazed.
I'm excited. We've been talking recently about how we want to hear from you, the All About Android community. We want to have you guys email in or call in or send us a video mail, and you guys have answered the call. So first up, we've got Dan, who sent in this video mail about the topic of learning how to develop Android apps. So Brian, let's hear from Dan.
Dear Jason, Ron, and esteemed guests, I'm a systems librarian in Sudbury, Ontario, Canada, and I've been a listener since episode 1. One of the show topics that comes up from time to time is, how does somebody learn how to develop Android apps? As the founder of our local Google developer group, GDG, I have a biased answer. You get together with other people, and you learn with them. In our case, we've been holding monthly meetings for over 2 years, and while not every meeting focuses on Android development, there's always some hands-on activity or development subject to sink your teeth into. You can find a list of GDGs all around the world at developers.google.com. Just click on the community button at the bottom, and we'll be listed at the very top. For learning Android development specifically, many GDGs ran a Dev Study Jam through February and March this year. This is a group learning exercise where we used Udacity's Android Fundamentals course, which was created by Googlers such as Rito Meyer and Catherine Kwan, as the basis of weekly meetings, one module per week. Each week we would review and discuss the hurdles we ran into in the previous module and prepare for the coming week's work. It was a great way to stay motivated, and while I've contributed patches to open source Android apps in the past, for the first time I feel like I have a complete understanding of how to develop Android apps all the way from the data layer through to the creation of responsive, accessible user interfaces. And all the materials are available for free. So, 2 takeaways. Be social and find or start a GDG near you. And consider some of the freely available online courses to get a comprehensive intro to Android development. Hope this helps, and many thanks for a great show. Dan Scott.
I think that's great advice, because so often in the modern internet world, we think that all of our answers come online, but it turns out there's other people that are in the same situation as you that maybe, I don't know, meeting them face to face might actually help.
Quite honestly, is a long-lasting old legacy in computers.
Yeah, it totally is.
If you remember correctly, the Apple I was debuted at the Homebrew Computer Club in Silicon Valley.
Totally.
You know, as a group of people who were all into computers who would get together once a week and talk about stuff. That still happens.
Yeah,
That's great. I mean, it's not as much as. I don't want to take away from what we're about to talk about with our sponsor, but learning online is great, but it can be very solitary and can be very alone, and sometimes it's good to work with somebody and be together in a group of people. But that said, learning online is an awesome resource as well.
So. I think what it is, it's a combination of all things,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
Like you don't necessarily need to only get your information online or get your information through forums or watching videos on YouTube or wherever else you're going to find your information online, but going to these meetings and actually sitting down and talking with people about the pain points, and you end up learning a lot just by being exposed to other people's ideas, and a lot of that comes from face to face. So I think it's a really good reminder, because so often we talk about these kind of things, and we don't really talk about the whole go meet people thing. And even if we do, I've always hated the idea of networking. I hate networking, in air quotes, just as a concept. But it doesn't have to necessarily be, I'm going because I'm going to meet these people. It's, I'm going for the information, and through a shared kind of appreciation of the content and knowledge that's there, you end up meeting people. It just kind of happens. That can be a big deal.
There's something kind of cheesy about a networking event where you go and there's an open bar and you got your badge and who you're with, whatever. And there's something about going to a group with a purpose. And so for example, and Gina talked about it a lot before she left the show, but there's a great tech meetup in New York City that they presented ThinkUp at, that I used to go to when I lived in New York back in 2005, 2006, and it was just a bunch of tech-minded, entrepreneur-minded people who got together once a week and saw presentations of startups and talked and stuff like that. It was a networking event, but with a mission and with a purpose. And those kind of things can be immensely powerful in terms of the connections, the learnings, and just the socializing. It can be so easy to stay in your apartment or stay in your house in front of that screen and type away and stay on Twitter and just stay on in whatever kind of message board back world that you live in. But sometimes it's so great to just go out and talk to somebody, and you find can tell you how many times at events like that I found someone who has the same problem I've had and they've solved it, and then I could follow up with them later on and figure out how to fix it. Yeah. So
well, that's what's so much fun about I/O, like just going and getting to meet all of these people. I guess, like I guess for me, I spend most of the year locked in a room when it's not CES or whatever, some trade show, and it's really cool to just kind of go to go to California and meet everybody. And I got to meet Jason last year, and it's really cool. It's fun.
Yeah, it is awesome, and I agree, and I'm looking forward to it. And we'll get a drink or something.